making them happen in your life is a completely different story. And that goes beyond knowledge transfer. That goes into our subconscious patterns, our beliefs about the world, our beliefs about ourselves. And these are three really important ones that I want to dismantle for you today. The truth is, convenience is overrated. Convenience is not the most valuable thing that you bring to the table. Everyone around us is burned out and struggling and overwhelmed. Everyone around us is tired and depleted. We don't see a lot of examples in our lives of moms who are truly alive and joyful and thriving in their lives. And so we default to what we see. Hey mama, welcome back to the Thrive Mama podcast. I am Martina, certified nutrition consultant and holistic health coach and a mama of two, and I am so glad you're here. I am here to help busy moms unlock their energy, balance their hormones, and break out of burnout using nutrition as a foundation. So on this podcast, we dive into actionable strategies on nutrition, nervous system healing, and aligning with your cycles, with a healthy dose of relatable motherhood thrown in, all designed to help you move past surviving to actually thrive in motherhood. Let's do this. How we doing out there, mama? We are in full back to school mode. We are in a major seasonal transition right now, and the energy is a little bit wild. And I know for some families, this time of year feels really refreshing and like the support that you've been craving for probably weeks and months at this point over the summer. And for other families, this can feel really hectic, really challenging to shift routines, and like everything's kind of like starting from scratch in your household and in your family. So I'm curious how we are all holding up out there in mom land. My oldest started kindergarten this year, and this is a huge threshold moment. This is a huge step to move from daycare and family childcare at our house and keeping her home with me during the day into daily full day kindergarten. It's a really big change. And I've been reflecting this week on actually how supportive it has been feeling. She is thriving. She is loving it. She can't wait to go back every day. And it suddenly feels like I have a really reliable partner in her learning and development in a way that I haven't had yet in her life through the school, through her teacher. And that actually feels like such a weight off of my shoulders day to day. The consistency, the schedule, the structure that it's been offering our daily routine has actually felt so good. So I'm really grateful to be in this season now. We've officially entered school kid zone, and it feels really good. And it's really brought me back into reflection around how important it is to have that masculine support, that masculine structure. I recorded an episode not too long ago about balancing masculine and feminine energy, specifically in your wellness, in your daily habits and routines, and how it's actually critical to have both in order to build sustainability in your health and in the way you take care of yourself. And I think the same is really true in parenting. We need structure in our days. We need supports. We need the foundation. And we also need feminine flow. We need flexibility and intuition and empty space and creativity. And often as parents, we tend to lean one direction or the other. Some parents are inclined by nature to be a bit more rigid, to be a bit more in the structure, in the schedule, in the control. And that is very much in our masculine. And other parents tend to err on the side of flowy, going with the flow, just being in the moment, taking it minute by minute. And we need elements of both. And school has really offered this masculine structure in for my family, and we're feeling really grateful about that. And I would love to hear if you want to share what's been real for you in this transitional season as we move out of summer and into more of an autumn rhythm. Not that the weather has caught up to that message, but our schedules, our structures, our activities are now shifting in a big way. So I'm curious to hear how y'all doing, how we hanging in there, what's real for us right now. I'm always here to connect and hear what's up. But for today's episode, we are talking through three really important things that I had to unlearn in order to actually thrive in motherhood. And these are three things that I want to pull in today because they are not specific to just me. I'm pulling them in now because I've recognized these as patterns I had to unlearn. And then I see these patterns over and over and over in the incredible moms that I work with. So there are three patterns that I want to shed some light on today and share a little bit about how I moved through them, how I unlearned them, and what is waiting for you on the other side. Because as we've talked about before, getting really clear on nutrition advice and on a meal plan and the what to eat when, that is actually the easiest part of this whole process. That is a simple knowledge transfer, right? I can teach you that in 20 minutes flat. The really beautiful and deep and complicated and challenging part of this process of thriving in motherhood is actually looking at the identity patterns that keep us stuck in old ways that don't serve us. Because as we've said before, you know things to do. Making them happen in your life is a completely different story. And that goes beyond knowledge transfer. That goes into our subconscious patterns, our beliefs about the world, our beliefs about ourselves. And these are three really important ones that I want to dismantle for you today. All right, so number one, these are happening in no particular order, but number one belief I had to unlearn is that I serve my family by being as convenient and low maintenance as possible, that my needs are by nature an inconvenience. And this is a belief that goes way, 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 way back. And it's one that I know many women hold in their bodies. That one way we get love and connection from others is by being low maintenance, by not having needs, by going with the flow, by being convenient. And this is a belief I've had to do a lot of work and deconditioning around because the truth is convenience is overrated. Convenience is not the most valuable thing that you bring to the table. Your light and your warmth and your heart and your mind, your ideas, your leadership, your joy, all of that is so valuable. And the more we prioritize convenience, the less we can tap into those things because we're not actually in our full power, in our full expression, in our full aliveness when we're focused on making our needs small, when we're focused on being convenient. And this belief can show up in a lot of ways, some of which might sound really inconsequential, really small, not a big deal. But I really want to invite you into some reflection around how these small micro sacrifices actually add up to a big energetic load on ourselves and on our needs. So I know for me, one way that this showed up is around voicing my desires when they were different from the rest of the people in my family. There was this pressure to kind of just go along with the group. And this, again, is conditioned from a very young age for a lot of us. And it can come up in things as small as like, where do we want to go for dinner? And our partner wants one place and we really want another, but like that place is fine. So we just go with it, right? Or maybe there's a certain food that you really enjoy that the rest of your family just doesn't. And so you find yourself never eating it because you are going along with the status quo of what other people want rather than making the space, the time, the energy to get you what you want. Maybe you're skipping meals in the middle of the day because you are a stay-at-home mom and you're trying to get the kid down for a nap and it's easier to just like wait and snack in the afternoon. You don't want to like throw off the day or take any attention away from the kid to make yourself lunch. Maybe you're not going to that yoga class that you were really excited to go to because the family schedule got too full or because the logistics around bedtime felt too overwhelming. And so you just didn't go. Maybe you had plans, the family had plans, and your needs in the moment are calling for something different. And rather than voice those needs or trying to find a compromise, we just go along with the preset plan because we feel like an inconvenience. Maybe you feel guilty asking your partner for any sort of help, time alone to take care of yourself, or money to invest in your health and wellness in some way. And I see this over and over and over again. We feel so much fear around having that conversation with our partner because we feel like we are too much, like we are taking up too much space. When we actually have the conversation, 9 times out of 10, our partner is so supportive and loving. But we don't even give them a chance to do that because we feel like it's too much to ask. So this all falls under this bucket of inconvenience, right? We are trying to be as convenient as possible and not make any waves in the family and just make ourselves sort of a chameleon to the needs and wants of everybody around us. And this is a belief that took me years to unlearn, and I'm still uncovering new layers for sure of how this shows up for me. But I really want to invite you into some reflection around how this might be showing up for you. Where are you prioritizing being convenient over actually meeting your needs? And meeting your needs in a way that's not selfish, but in a way that allows you to actually show up in a better and different way. It's not that you get what you want all the time. It's that your needs are equally as important as the needs of those around you. And there are times where we compromise, and there are times where we actually say, this is what I want to need. And I know you want to need something different, so I'm going to do this for me, and you're welcome to do whatever feels right for you, right? We don't have to be a homogenous expression of desire. We get to be our own sovereign self in our needs and wants. So my charge for the world actually is for us to start being less convenient, for us to start being less low maintenance, and for us to move through our life with so much compassion and empathy, and also fierce devotion to our own needs and wants. And it actually transforms the way you start looking at resources. You start looking at time and money and energy, and brings a lot of balance into the way resources are being used in your family. So that was belief number 1. We're going to be more inconvenient. We're going to really take up space with our needs. This takes time, but it is really powerful. Belief number 2 that I really had to unlearn in order to actually thrive in motherhood is what I call the acceptance trap. This is the belief that burnout, overwhelm, survival mode is just kind of the norm. It's just how it is, it's just part of being a mom. Everyone around us is burned out and struggling and overwhelmed. Everyone around us is tired and depleted. We don't see a lot of examples in our lives of moms who are truly alive and joyful and thriving in their lives. And so we default to what we see, which often is settling for survival mode. And I know this was true for me for the first 3 years of motherhood. We also often learn this belief really young, watching how our own mom moves through her life, meets her own needs or doesn't, takes care of her own energy or doesn't. And I think a lot of us can think back to the kind of motherhood that our mothers modeled and see how we bought into this pattern, that burnout is just the norm. It's just how it is. This really comes up in this mindset of it's just this season of life, right? It's just this season of life. It'll get better. It'll get better when the kids are older. It will be easier in a few years when they're in school. And those things are true. It will get better. It will get easier. And we don't settle for this acceptance trap in the meantime. Your life is so precious that we don't just accept feeling burned out and depleted and overwhelmed for the 10 years of being a mom because that's the way we see other people doing it, because that's the way it was modeled for us growing up. And this really comes in when we gather with other moms, when we're in mom support groups or mom's Facebook groups, or we get together with our mom friends and we all sort of unleash and unload the burden of burnout in a way that makes us feel not alone. And listen, there is something really special and sacred about being witnessed in the hard, in the struggle. When we get together and we say, I'm touched out, I don't know who I am anymore, that's not necessarily complaining. That might be truth telling. And we really need that. We need truth telling. We need safe spaces where we're not like pretending everything's fine. This isn't like some kind of toxic bypassing moment. We acknowledge the truth telling. We create safe space where we feel witnessed, we feel seen, we feel not alone. And sometimes these conversations actually leave us feeling more heavy, more stuck. Have you ever been in that situation where in these spaces and everybody's sharing their hard truths and complaining and venting and being in the realness, but we just keep it there? And then we leave feeling maybe validated, but also still in survival mode. And we have this sense of resignation of like, well, if they're all struggling too, I guess it's just how it is, right? So we're not taking away the safe spaces to tell our truths. We're not pretending like everything's fine. We are honoring the hard, speaking it honestly, and still holding a vision for something better, not settling. When we get together in community with other moms, we allow space for the witnessing and the shifting, the visioning, the energy shift. And if someone we're with is not ready for that, they want to stay in the hard, they want to stay in the victim mode, they want to stay in the survival mode struggle, we can't force them out of there. But we can choose the mom communities that we enter into, because there are mom communities out here that are actually holding the vision for thriving, that are not settling for burnout and survival mode, that are lovingly holding space for the real and also expanding into joy, into expression, into aliveness in motherhood. So this is the important nuance here. We are seen in the mess, we are seen in the struggle, and we are also holding the vision for a better way. The acceptance trap comes in when we see no way out, when we just stay in the struggle and we think it's normal because everyone around us is in the struggle, and we keep ourselves busy and self-sacrificing and numbed out because we're just biding our time until the season of life passes. And I know that some of you are feeling this right now in your heart, in your body. Like you're feeling the truth of this, and this might feel a little bit stretchy for you to hear, because there is absolutely an entire culture out there in motherhood that thrives on this idea that mom life is miserable, that it's so hard, that we're all burned out, that we're all overextended. And doesn't this feel good to be in that together? It's like this club, this survival mode club that is thriving out there in the world. It is loud. And so it can feel uncomfortable to feel like we don't belong to that club, or to feel like we want a different club because the other clubs aren't as loud. And so it's easy to feel like they don't exist. And if we're not trauma bonding over how hard this is, we're alone, right? And I'm here to tell you, this was a belief that changed everything for me and for my clients. And it's why almost all of my programs, my free experiences include some kind of community feature, because I know it's so important to be in space with other moms who are holding the vision for something better, who are not in the acceptance trap, who are investing in themselves, in their energy, in their health, in their joy, who are prioritizing their needs. Because when we see other people do it, we begin to recalibrate our nervous system to believe that we can do it. So notice where this feels stretchy for you. Notice what kind of content is coming in across your feed. Notice what kind of conversations are happening in your mom's groups, in your play dates. Notice what kind of reels you're sharing to your stories, right? Are we being in our authentic truth and sharing what's real from a place of witnessing and strength and empowerment to also move through it? Or are we simply rooting down deeper into survival mode club as a way to belong, as a way to feel connection and not alone? And as a, I say this with love, but as sort of a pass to not try, as a pass to just accept what's real, coast through it as best we can, and then try to find joy on the other side. For some people, that's enough. For some people, that's the capacity they have. And I come to those people with so much compassion and love for whatever it's their life. They absolutely get to decide what the vision for their life is. But if you're listening to a podcast called the Thrive Mama Podcast, my guess is that there is something in you that doesn't want to just survive motherhood, that actually wants to feel alive and joyful. And yes, food is a foundation for that. We take care of our bodies in a way that is loving and aligned to the life we want to live. But if we can't get past this belief and we stay stuck in communities that perpetuate the survival mode club, that keep us stuck in the struggle, we are limiting our nervous system to believe what it sees. And if all it sees is struggle, that's what we're going to believe is possible on a subconscious level. We're going to continue sort of self-sabotaging and staying in patterns of struggle because that's what we're resigned to as reality in motherhood. So I think one of the best antidotes to this belief as you begin to dismantle it is, first of all, awareness. Notice what's coming into your field, into your conversations, into your algorithm, and intentionally seek out people, accounts, leaders who are living in motherhood the way you want to live, not the way that's just a reflection of where you are now. I'm going to say that again. We need to be seeking out examples of how we want to live and get ourselves in their field, in their space. Not just finding comfort with accounts, with people, with leaders that reflect where we are now. They need to be able to see us. They need to be able to know our experience, but they need to be able to hold the vision of where we want to go. If all you do is surround yourself with friends, with people, with family, with accounts that reflects your current reality, you are going to continue creating your current reality. Cool? So the belief that we're breaking down is burnout is the norm, survival mode is how it is, and we just need to get through it until some magical day in the future when it's not so hard. And the other antidote to this is actually getting into community spaces with moms who are feeling empowered and alive, who are real, who are voicing their real life experience and truth, but from a place of empowerment, from a place of moving through that struggle into the vision of the life they want, of the health they want, of the motherhood experience that they want. That is a huge, huge difference than the venting, complaining cycles that so many of us can get ourselves stuck in. So the belief we're breaking down here is burnout is the norm. It is just how it is. Survival mode is just part of motherhood, and we just need to get through it until some magical day in the future when it's going to be easier. And I'm here to tell you there is a better way. Normalizing burnout is keeping us stuck. And it is really important to surround yourself with examples of thriving so you can calibrate your nervous system to the state you want to live in. And then the third belief that I needed to unravel to actually thrive in motherhood is this belief that my energy state depends on those around me, depends on my external environment. Here's what this really means. I believed for many, many, many years that part of my happiness, my peace, my joy was sourced from my family, my home, my job, and waiting to receive those signals of peace, of relaxation, of joy from the outside. So this looks like you're feeling fine, but then your partner wakes up cranky and is kind of snapping at you. And now you're activated, you're defensive, and it impacts your mood for like hours, right? So your partner's crankiness from waking up that way impacted your energy state. Another way I see this come out is in our external environment in our homes. Now, listen, there is really good data that our environment impacts our emotional and mental state, right? So, being in a lot of clutter, in a lot of dirt, is a factor in how our body can find states of safety. So that is super real. So if you're like, I just can't relax if the house is dirty, there's some real science, neuroscience behind that. I'm not telling you you're wrong, but here's the caveat and something that was incredibly freeing for me to unravel. When we make our relaxation contingent on the chores being caught up, we are actually allowing our emotions to be codependent on our home state, on the dishes in the sink, on the toys on the floor. So at its root, for me, this was an extension of my codependency patterns. And codependency is a little bit of a charged word, but let me tell you what it means to me and how it showed up in my life. And I know for some of you, this is going to ding some things for you. Codependency at its core really means if you're not okay, I'm not okay. The opposite of codependency to me is sovereignty. And sovereignty means I create my internal state first, and then I radiate that into the world. So feel the difference between those two things. Codependency is receiving our cues from the outside and letting that impact our inside. Sovereignty is the reverse. We're sourcing from the inside first and then radiating that out. We choose our state first. So in practice, what this looks like is, now that I've unraveled this, I actually can feel incredible joy and peace even when my partner is mad at me. Even when my partner has had a bad day and is snapping at me. Even when the house is a mess and the dishes are 2 days behind. I can find joy and peace in that moment. I can feel totally detached and fine about that. Even when two people in my family are fighting with each other and I was there to see it. Even when my kid is having a meltdown and is really struggling to regulate their emotions. Now, none of this means that we're not empathetic or compassionate or even supportive. We can be all of those things and still be sovereign. When we really shift our understanding of emotions to realize my emotions are mine and your emotions are yours, and it is not my job to manage your emotions, everything changes. You get so much energy and freedom back when you do that. When you realize that you are in partnership with those around you, with your spouse, with your kids, with even your parents, with your boss, you're in partnership. That does not mean that their shit is your shit. Partnership is not you signing up to take on the burden of their emotions and their experience. And I really find that this is crucial for actually building healthy habits and thriving in motherhood. I know this feels really far removed from nutrition, but listen, if we are in codependent patterns, if our energy state depends on those around us, depends on our home environment, depends on our boss's approval, depends on our partner's mood, then we are outsourcing our thriving potential, our joy, our presence, our peace to other people. And showing up for ourselves in the way that we nourish our body, in the way that we move our body, in the way that we meditate in the morning, in the way that we meal prep, in the way that we do nervous system management tools, that sort of investment in ourselves becomes really challenging when we are holding the needs and emotions of everybody around us. It's really, really challenging. We have to pull that energy back for ourselves, not so that we can disconnect from them, but so that we can be sovereign and choose first and then radiate that out. This is like we're unconsciously absorbing all the energy in the room. So rather than being, I love Kate Northrup, one of my mentors, talks about when it comes to the nervous system, the difference between a thermometer and a thermostat. And this really is a beautiful example of this belief for me. A thermometer reads the room. A thermometer reads and then reports. A thermostat sets the tone. A thermostat decides the set point, holds it steady, and actually changes the environment. And what I want for all of you is to be the thermostat of your life, to be sovereign in your energy and in your joy, and to be a leader in your community, in your family, in your marriage, to show other people how to do that. It's sometimes uncomfortable. It requires some growing pains because so many of us, including some of our loved ones, only know codependent relationships. Truly. If someone is upset, the other person matches their energy. If someone isn't okay, I can't be okay until they're okay. These are codependent patterns. There's a really powerful book if you want to dive into this further. Terry Cole has done some beautiful work on modern day codependency, and she's written Boundary Boss. She's written Too Much, both of which are just incredible books around this idea. So if you feel like this belief is an area of growth for you, really invite you to check out those books and dive deeper. If you find yourself unable to relax until your house is clean, until all your people are taken care of, if you find that your kid has a meltdown and you immediately go into fix it mode, or it throws off your energy and you can't reset, if your partner makes a rude comment and you like can't recover for hours, or they've had a snappy day and now you're like matching these are all examples of your energy being a mirror for other people. So rather than be the mirror, we are going to be the thermostat. We're going to be the lighthouse, right? Those are really different energies, because when we're dependent on our external environment, we really struggle to have the power to stick to our values. And I know that because you're here, health is one of your values. And it's really challenging to continue prioritizing that to be inconvenient, as belief number one asked us to be, if we are waiting in codependent cycles with our environment, with our life, with our job, with our home, with our marriage. We come back into sovereignty in ourselves. And this is not some overnight fix, right? There's not like a sovereignty switch we can just flip and decide, like, I'm done being codependent. This is like the work of a lifetime, truly. So starting with resources like those books, like Terry Cole's books that I mentioned, starting with awareness, starting with a choice point, just saying, I am choosing to work on this. And when it comes up, practicing, naming it for yourself. Even though my partner is mad, I am safe. I can choose to have a joyful day and see what happens. I teach my clients a lot of different nervous system tools to bring mantras out of the brain and into the body. When we're shifting all three of these beliefs, truly, when we're shifting these beliefs, I just want to leave you with a couple of tips of what this looks like, what the process looks like to actually unravel these beliefs. So many of us go first to mantras, right? Like we repeat the same mantra over and over and over. Here's the problem. Mantras are in the mind. And if all it took was saying something for it to be true, we would probably all be millionaires. We would probably all have a vacation home in Bali, and there would be no genocide or starvation anywhere in the world, right? There is a level of disconnect between our conscious mind and our subconscious beliefs. And the conscious mind only accounts for about 3 to 5% of the brain's activity. So when we use mantras, we are activating the 3 to 5% of the brain that uses conscious thought. We need to actually use nervous system somatic tools to shift it in your subconscious, which is why in my coaching programs, we use things like EFT tapping, guided visualizations, energy work, like ritual, all of these things taps into the energy beneath the words and brings it into the body, into the 95% of your brain function that is subconscious. So I will actually leave a link for you in the description box below. I didn't know I was going to do this, but it feels important, to a guided EFT practice. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. It is a type of tapping on the body that activates energy centers and shifts subconscious beliefs quickly. It's something I teach in my programs, and I will leave for you a free guided video below this episode so that you can start using it to begin shifting these beliefs for yourself in your own life. So I hope that you can really see, although we talked about food 0% of our time today, how important it is to go into the subconscious work when we are building healthy habits. This is why I am not the coach who's going to hand you a meal plan and send you on your way. It doesn't work. If it worked, you would have fucking done it by now. We have to dismantle, unravel the subconscious patterns that are actually keeping us in unhealthy cycles, in cycles that are not serving our values. And until we do that, we are not going to be able to actually shift our identity to somebody who prioritizes health for themselves in motherhood. I would love to hear from you. Which of these beliefs really struck home? Which one are you feeling inspired to tackle first? Are there any beliefs you've had to unravel in order to really thrive? I want to hear them in the comments below this episode, or send me a DM over on Instagram. And if you found any nuggets of insight in this episode, I would really appreciate a review. This really helps newer podcasts get out there into the ears of more people. So if you have not reviewed the show yet, take just a moment today, review the show, leave some quick stars over there so that this podcast can continue to grow and serve and support as many moms as possible. So I am sending you so much love as you navigate these journeys. And until we meet again, take beautiful care of yourself.